Have you ever needed to poop during class so badly that every decision felt life or death? Not the normal kind where you think, I should probably go soon. I mean the emergency kind, where your stomach gives one warning and starts a countdown. Now imagine that during a silent exam with a strict teacher, 30 witnesses, and your crush sitting close enough to hear your organs complain. For the next 40 minutes, I was not trying to pass math. I was trying not to become a story the entire school would remember. The disaster began at lunch. The cafeteria served something called beef and bean surprise, which should have been enough information to walk away. But I was hungry, and the pizza line was too long. My friend Marcus looked at it and said, "That thing has been through something." I ate it anyway. I thought the surprise was the flavor. I did not realize the real surprise had been scheduled for third period algebra. Our algebra teacher, Mrs. Carter, treated test day like airport security. Backpacks under chairs, phones off. Nobody talking and nobody leaving until their paper was handed in. I sat in the middle row, 2 seats away from Maya, the girl I had spent 3 months trying to appear normal around. The room became so quiet that I could hear the clock above the whiteboard. Even turning a page sounded aggressive. 5 minutes into the exam, I felt the first bubble. It was small and almost polite, like my stomach clearing its throat. I convinced myself it was hunger, despite the suspicious tortilla I had eaten an hour earlier. Question 4 asked me to solve for x. My stomach answered with a watery gurgle that traveled somewhere dangerous. My pencil froze. I looked around. Everyone kept writing. Then the pressure arrived. Sitting straight stretched my stomach. Leaning forward felt like folding a tube of toothpaste. I crossed my legs, uncrossed them, then crossed them the other way. Soon I was moving in tiny increments, pretending to check my answers while searching for the one posture that could protect my dignity. Mrs. Carter looked over, so I stopped and stared at question 5. It asked for the slope of a line. The only slope I cared about led to the nearest bathroom. Maya glanced at me. I immediately pretended to be thinking deeply, which apparently meant pressing one finger against my temple while sweating. She whispered, "Are you okay?" My brain produced the worst possible answer. "Yeah, math is just intense." She looked at the basic equation on my paper, then back at me. I nodded confidently while my stomach tightened like someone twisting a wet towel. I raised my hand. Mrs. Carter saw it but finished walking to the other side of the room before coming over. I whispered, "Can I use the bathroom?" She looked at the clock and asked, "Can it wait until you finish?" I wanted to explain that this was not a preference. It was an evacuation order. But Maya was listening, so I gave a weak smile and said, "Probably." Mrs. Carter walked away, satisfied with the worst medical assessment ever performed. For 30 seconds, everything was calm. Then my stomach made a sound so deep, it seemed to come from beneath the school. This sounded like a clogged sink arguing with a motorcycle. The noise climbed in pitch and ended with a wet little chirp. In that silent room, it might as well have played through the intercom. 3 pencils stopped. Marcus slowly turned around. Somebody whispered, "What was that?" I stared at my test, hoping a lack of eye contact could establish innocence. I tried creating a cover story with sound effects. On the next warning, I coughed, but I coughed too early. My stomach replied afterward, like we were performing a terrible duet. I dragged my shoe across the floor, but it made no sound. Then my chair screamed against the tile, and everyone looked at me. In panic, I dropped my pencil. It rolled under Maya's desk. She picked it up while I remained perfectly still, because any sudden movement now felt like opening a shaken soda. That was when I became convinced there was a smell. I did not actually smell anything, but panic does not require evidence. The student behind me sniffed once. Marcus pulled his collar over his nose, although he later claimed he was cold. Maya looked toward the air vent. My mind created an invisible green cloud around my desk with arrows pointing at me. I considered looking disgusted first, so people would assume I was another victim. Instead, I held my breath, which is useless when the suspected problem is your own body. The second wave hit without warning. My stomach clenched, my shoulders rose, and both hands grabbed the desk. My test paper slid onto the floor. I raised my hand again, but this time it shot up like I was bidding on my own survival. Mrs. Carter saw my face and finally understood that we had moved beyond probably. She pointed toward the door. Go, but come straight back. I stood like I was carrying a bowl filled to the edge. The class watched without appearing to watch, a special skill students develop for public emergencies. My backpack strap caught around the chair leg. I took one step, and the chair followed with a loud scrape. For one horrible second, I considered dragging it to the bathroom. Marcus freed the strap and whispered, "Run, man." Running was impossible. I moved in tiny, controlled steps with my knees suspiciously close together. When I passed Maya's desk, she moved her feet aside and gave me the concerned expression people use when someone is carrying a damaged birthday cake. The hallway should have taken 20 seconds. That day, it became an expedition. Halfway there, a hall monitor stepped in front of me and asked for my pass. Mrs. Carter had not given me one. I said it was an emergency. He pointed toward the classroom and told me to get written permission. Then my stomach produced another long warning. We both heard it. His face changed. He stepped aside and said, "You know what? Go." I thanked him with the fastest careful walk a human has ever performed. I pushed open the bathroom door and found every stall occupied except the last one. Its lock was broken, so I hooked one foot against the door while managing the emergency. Someone watched videos in the next stall, and a sink dripped like a countdown timer. Still, I had made it. The relief was so powerful that I briefly forgave the cafeteria, Mrs. Carter, algebra, and every bad decision that brought me there. For 5 beautiful seconds, the universe and I were finally on the same team. Then I reached for the toilet paper. My hand touched cardboard. One empty brown roll spun slowly in the holder, almost proudly. I checked behind the toilet. Nothing. I checked the floor and immediately regretted it. My pockets contained a gum wrapper, a receipt, and the corner of a worksheet with my name on it. None offered a future I wanted. Next door, a cheerful cooking video announced, "Now add the cream," which felt unnecessarily personal. There was only one solution, and it required speaking. I waited for the video to pause, then said, "Hey, this is going to sound weird." The person next door replied, "We're in a bathroom." Everything sounds weird. I asked whether he could pass some toilet paper under the divider. After a long pause, a hand appeared holding nearly an entire roll. I grabbed it like emergency supplies after a storm. "You saved my life," I said. He answered, "Please never tell anyone I was part of this." We became friends based entirely on never recognizing each other again. When I returned to class, I had been gone for 12 minutes. Mrs. Carter looked at the clock, then at me, and apparently decided she did not want an explanation. Marcus gave me a silent thumbs up. Maya slid my pencil toward me and whispered, "Math still intense?" I said, "You have no idea." She laughed just enough to reveal that she understood more than I wanted. I looked at my test and discovered I had written 2 as the answer to 3 different questions. My body had survived, but my algebra grade was a secondary casualty. At the end of class, Mrs. Carter stopped beside my desk and quietly said, "Next time, just go." The advice arrived 40 minutes late, but I accepted it. I handed in my paper and reached the hallway without another sound. That day taught me 2 important lessons. First, never trust cafeteria food with surprise in its name. Second, when your stomach asks whether something can wait, it is not asking for your opinion. It is giving you one final chance to leave with your reputation mostly intact. So yes, I have needed to poop during a silent exam, and nothing makes a room feel quieter than your own stomach preparing a public announcement. I did not get a good grade, impress my crush, or learn the name of the stranger who passed me that toilet paper. But I escaped without becoming a permanent school legend, which felt like a passing score. Now, whenever somebody raises a hand during a test and asks for the bathroom, I never laugh. I just give them a respectful nod and hope the last stall has a working lock and a full roll.